Hey, how's it going, guys? And Happy New Year's, and of course, welcome to your first piece of monster taming content for 2021. I have a lot of plans this year, including covering many of the games that aren't public yet, but are coming. The many releases, including alphas, betas, early access launches, full access launches, etc. I also have plans to cover some of the Pokemon and other monster taming mods that have been heavily requested, and a ton of other stuff I have planned. This year for me is especially exciting because this channel has an established niche, unlike last year where at the same time I was pretty much just solely covering Temtem and Kindred Fates and anything else that I thought was kind of cool. Anyways, today's video is going to be talking about the many releases coming this year, and because there is so much happening, I've decided to focus on game releases ranging from alpha to full access in this video, and then I want to focus on games that have plans for a reveal or a Kickstarter or what have you in another video later this month. You'll see what I mean when you see the sheer amount of monster taming that 2021 has to offer, and I'm excited to relay this information to you guys. I really do think that this year the monster taming community will continue to grow, and in some aspects may even outclass last year in the amount of interest that it pulls in from the outside. So that being said, sit back, relax, and let's talk about what this year has to offer. Alright, so a couple pieces of housekeeping information before we dive in. This video is going to be a bit of a more casual video rather than the top 20 I did with Clemmy or even the retrospective from yesterday. This is in part because some of the games don't have trailers, and I also don't want to be too repetitive with explaining every single game, especially the more well-known ones. We won't be focusing as much time explaining what the more popular titles entail, as most of my audience probably knows, for example, Temtem's an MMO, Kindred Fates open world, etc. Another thing to keep in mind is we don't have exact dates or even months for the vast majority of these games, so a lot of them may not be in a specific order as a result. My goal here is to have the first section be sort of in an order of what we know. The second section will just be cleanup from what is coming out in 2021, but we don't know when. And then I'll talk a little bit about games that I think are going to be noteworthy in 2021 that we don't necessarily have a release for, but I think are going to reveal a lot of information this year. Anyways, first up on our list is the major Nexomon update. Now I gotta say, Nexomon Extinction needs no introduction to this channel, and the promised major content update, including the custom mode, will allow for randomization, nuzlocks, and more, and it's planned for release any day now. The devs have stated that they're basically just waiting on translation, so it could realistically happen this week. If you want to learn more about the custom mode, check out this video on the topic. Relegend development is also starting to wrap up for the 1.0 launch, aka full access. Now, Relegend has had a bit of a rocky development, with it being rather buggy throughout most of its early access, but I've heard nothing but good things since the November update, which fixed a lot of these issues. Another important title entering its alpha phase will be Chain Monsters, a monster taming MMO with blockchain integration. You may remember last year that it absolutely crushed its Kickstarter goal with ease, and apparently is going to be available very early this year. This one's going to be available eventually for every single platform, and that includes mobile, so you mobile monster tamers, you always ask me about stuff like this. This is one of these games. It's also going to be the first monster taming MMO we see outside of Temtem, if I'm not mistaken. Now, speaking of Temtem, and this has been discussed at length, but early this year we should expect the Sipanku update, which was delayed due to COVID, and the game was initially planned for full access launch this year, and while this is still possible, perhaps towards the end of the year, nothing is set in stone, and we should also end up seeing Arbory as well before the year is over. If you're looking for something a little bit on the danker side, Drugimon, a monster taming game where you tame and battle drug monsters, alpha, is coming this year in the first quarter, and I'm actually really excited for it. I might get my stoner little brother on Discord and we can have him help me commentate while I play, because why the heck not? Thanks to the release of the Monster Sanctuary Roadmap, we also know that Monster Sanctuary's big update is coming in February. This update will include new difficulty modes, new game plus, etc. This will definitely be something to look forward to, especially with it being so prompt, considering the game literally just came out a few weeks ago. This next game has had its controversy, with sort of a split between whether or not it should be considered part of the monster taming genre, or just a game with heavy monster taming elements, or a Mon Light, or whatever. But Ark Survival Evolved will be having its next major content update, with it being Genesis 2, which will bring forth new monsters, new areas, and more. A title that's already released in Japan, but will make its way to the West, is Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne Remastered. This title has been garnering some criticism in Japan for it being rather buggy, but I am hoping that Japan just acted as a test group for us and that the international release will be a lot smoother. We also have Shin Megami Tensei 5 coming out this year, however we don't have an exact date as of just yet. We haven't been able to talk much about Ploxmons lately because there hasn't been really any updates, but I'm very happy to say that Michael, the man behind Ploxmons' art, has stated that the game is currently planned for a second quarter of 2021 launch, specifically for PC, so I'm definitely looking forward to getting more updates regarding that. According to Cirque, one of the moderators in the Coromon Discord, as well as like in every other friggin' Discord, I swear to God, as well as the Coromon team, Coromon is planned for release in the spring of this year, and they're specifically aiming for May. I personally think that this is one of the biggest releases for the indie monster taming community, as Coromon has been blowing up like crazy these last few months, with the game swiftly on its way to that 1 million mark in terms of downloads. I'm personally really excited, but also terrified because that's the same month my son's supposed to be born, and I really hope it doesn't end up happening on the same day. Another game planned within the first half of 2021 is Abomination, a monster taming turn-based roguelike with, of course, an emphasis on replayability, permadeath, and customizable playthroughs. Carl has told me that the game is planned for either Q1 or Q2 of this year. Way out in October, we can also expect a game that hasn't officially been revealed as of yet, being Stratton Studios' next Halloween-themed monster taming game. If you don't know who they are the creators behind Costume Kingdom, and some of the screenshots that Josh has shared in our Discord has really got me hyped for this next project. So those are the games that we have more specific windows for their launch, whether they be alpha launches or full access or whatever, but we also have quite a few games that are planned for 2021, but we either don't have a launch window, or it's been so long since they've mentioned that launch window that we're not sure if it's still up to date or whatever. But let's dive right into this. So Monster Crown is going to, of course, have its various content updates this year, which is already exciting, but the game is also planned for its full release, if I'm not mistaken, and this should include the Nintendo Switch port as well. Serialum Ultimate should be entering early access this year, as well as into full access, with the console and mobile ports currently not having an official release window. The game's early access was delayed, as a Kickstarter states that the full release should be early 2021, so I'm assuming if things go well, we might end up seeing it in Q2 or Q3. The Kindred Fates beta is also planned for late 2021, but Andrew specifically states that this is a very rough estimate and it can easily happen in 2022, so just take this date with a grain of salt. That said, the beta will essentially expand on the alpha, being a combat arena, so expect more fighters and, I don't know, maybe more stages and more items and whatnot. Who knows? Sometime this year, we'll also see the full release of Mython Island, the choice-driven monster taming RPG with elements similar to Slay the Spire that came out a couple weeks ago. By the looks of it, it'll be about 6 months before the full access comes out. Now, Creature Keeper is also planned for this year and is a monster taming sort of Zelda-like with real-time combat, and it's a lot of fun. You can definitely check out their demo, which you can access through their Twitter page. I highly recommend playing it. Monster Hunter Stories 2 is also supposed to release sometime this year, as well as Digimon Survive, which was delayed due to the pandemic. Both of these games are very high-profile Tamer games and will likely cause another large influx in fans to the genre. A game we have touched upon in Monster Tamer news, but I've been waiting to do a showcase for, is Sky Climbers, a city-building monster taming ARPG situated in a procedurally generated anime-themed metaverse. Now, this game's Steam page says 2021, but the Kickstarter is also supposed to take place during the same year, so I'm assuming it's like alpha or something to that extent that's coming out in 2021, not necessarily full launch. I could be wrong about this. If the developers are watching, please feel free to correct me on that. Evo Creo 2 was also delayed from its initial launch window, is now slated for release in the spring of 2021. However, it has been quite some time since we've gotten any definitive news on the game, so I'm not entirely sure how accurate this is. Now, this said, this is a mobile game, like I mentioned with Chain Monsters, so you mobile monster tamers, another one to look out for. The alpha for Necromancer's Gift was initially going to come out in 2020, but has been delayed till 2021, alongside its Kickstarter as well. Like I said, I'm not going to go in depth with Kickstarters in this video. I just figured I'd mention it since we do have a piece of playable content coming, and Leo is very adamant that there will be something you can play when this Kickstarter goes live. Patch Quest should also be entering early access on Steam, which is really exciting because it means I can finally support the game instead of playing the beta for free, and Liam's been really digging up the roots of the game and replanting them in fun and unique ways. The Final Stardust Alpha is also planned for this year, and if you don't know, this is a Yu-Gi-Oh! Golden Sun and Pokemon inspired JRPG that just finished its Kickstarter campaign, reaching about double its goal. Finally, last but not least for this category is the Minimon remake that was initially planned for Q3 2021, but we'll have to see how that goes since the demo was originally planned for December, but also seems to have been delayed. That said, this is another game we definitely need to look into more, and you can also grab the original on Steam. I'm excited for this one personally. So those were all the games that we have definitive release information for, or at least that I could find. If I did miss anything regarding upcoming releases, remember, not Kickstarters or reveals, but actual releases, definitely let me know in the comments. And now we're going to talk about a few games that we should keep our eyes on. And again, there are even more games that will find their way onto the massive video I have planned, but I think this year we could end up seeing some major information regarding the following games: Cassette Beasts, Minecraft, Messin in a Bottle, Disc Creatures World, the sequel to Disc Creatures, which came out late 2019, Eternal Exodus, Laxidays, Mithrin, which I know for a fact is having a Kickstarter, and Skyseeker. Now, outside of these indie titles, we also need to look out for the next Pokemon game, in which it's very possible we'll be seeing a new title in the form of Gen 4 remakes this year, or at least something to that extent. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Gen 4 remakes. Game Freak and the Pokemon Company aren't exactly that great at throwing curveballs, so if that's coming, expect coverage on that too. Pokemon is a monster taming game. I know sometimes people get apprehensive when I cover something Pokemon related. It's a monster taming game. I have to treat it like one. Now, I won't elaborate much on the games I've just mentioned, as I plan to very soon, but I expect great things from these games this year, and I'm excited to continue covering them. Now, I just want to say once again, if I did miss any releases or major updates, please feel free to let me know. There are definitely a crap ton of games at this point, so it's very possible that something fell through the cracks, and if this is the case, let me know in the comments, so at least the comment thread can act as like an extension to this list for people to use as a resource. But anyways, with all that being said, guys, thanks so much for watching, and after all these back-to-back essay style / research intensive videos, I need a break. So tomorrow, just expect the final episode of our Monster Sanctuary playthrough, and I'll see you guys on Sunday for the first episode of Monster Tamer News for 2021. Oh, and yeah, subscribe. Anyway, until next time, peace.